Our first key term for this unit is alliance. This is a group formed for mutual benefit and was one of the major causes of World War I. An example of an alliance is the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente during World War I. Make sure you're using these examples, using key terms, or drawing a picture in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is totalitarianism. This is a form of government in which a single party has total control over the country and every aspect of people's lives. This is similar to absolutism, which we talked about earlier this year. An example of this is Nazi Germany following the aftermath of World War I. Make sure you're writing down this example, drawing a picture, or using key terms in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is Central Powers. This is an alliance between Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire during World War I. The significance is that this group was composed of members of the Triple Alliance who opposed or went against the Allied powers. Make sure that you're drawing a picture, using this example, or using key terms in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is trench warfare. This is a form of warfare where both sides occupy fortified fighting lines, mostly made up of trenches, where troops were sheltered from enemy gunfire. The significance of this term is that it's a type of combat in which opposing troops fight from trenches facing each other. Make sure that you're writing down this example or significance, using key terms, or drawing a picture in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is neutrality. So this is not taking sides in a conflict or non-participation in a war. An example, during World War I, countries like Spain and Switzerland chose not to participate in the warfare. Make sure that you're using these examples, key terms, or drawing a picture in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is armistice. This is an agreement made by both sides in a war to stop fighting for a certain time, or a truce. An example of this is the Armistice of November 11, 1918, which ended the fighting during World War I before the Treaty of Versailles was signed. Make sure you're using this example, using key terms, or drawing a picture of armistice in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is 14 points. This was a speech delivered by the U.S. President Woodrow Wilson to Congress to assure the U.S. that World War I was fought for moral reasons and for lasting peace in Europe. The significance is that this was President Wilson's proposal for world peace following World War I. The picture on the far right-hand side in this slide shows the 14 points that he came up with for hopefully creating lasting peace. Make sure that you're either writing the significance, drawing a picture, or using key terms in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is the Treaty of Versailles. This was a peace treaty at the end of World War I, which ended the war between Germany and the Allies, but required Germany to accept responsibility for causing the war and forced them to pay war reparations to the Allied powers. So the significance is that this treaty ended World War I, but it ultimately led to World War II due to the harsh punishments inflicted on Germany. The political cartoon on this slide shows that Germany was forced to sign the peace terms. They didn't have a choice. Make sure you're writing this significance, drawing a picture, or using key terms in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. Our next key term is the Triple Alliance. This was an alliance made up of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy during World War I. Italy later pulled out and joined the Triple Entente in 1915. So the significance is that this was the original members of the Central Powers in World War I. Make sure you're either writing the significance, using key terms, or drawing a picture in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart. The last key term for this unit is the Triple Entente, which is an alliance made of Great Britain, France, and Russia during World War I. So the significance is that this was the original members of the Allied powers in World War I. Make sure that you're either writing the significance, using key terms, or drawing a picture of this in the far right-hand side of your vocabulary chart.